Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. My humble respects to Bhante Jagannatha, who is the resident monk at BSV, and to Aya Upeka. Thank you very much for welcoming me to the Buddhist Society of Victoria. Although I have been here a couple of times, this is the first time I'm giving a talk here. So I'm very happy to be here, and I was expecting a lot of... I have few familiar faces, but I expect more to come. Are you still expecting some people to come? Huh? On a Sunday morning, it's a beautiful morning. Oh, no, at least it's not gloomy. Yes, the sun is out, and yeah. So today, I returned from Tasmania day before yesterday. Practically, I returned yesterday from Tasmania. I was there for 5 days. I was addressing a group of doctors in Tasmania for 5 days. Most of these doctors, the majority of them are from Sri Lanka. But it was very difficult to answer their questions. But I managed. So I'm just going to. I would like to interact with people rather than talking, all the time. So I accompanied another monk with me. So after the Malaysian Airlines incident, this was the first time we were flying. So before our flight, there were two more tragic incidents that happened in the world. So I was not reluctant, but just the thought, this eerie thought comes into your mind that there might be, So once I got into the plane, I said, okay, let's contemplate on death. So the other monk said, okay, let's just consider we are doomed. I said, then I said, before I die, I don't mind, because it was a morning flight. I told, I don't mind having a sandwich and a coffee before I die. Then we ordered a sandwich and a coffee. Drinking coffee on a Jetstar flight is worse than dying in an aircraft. It was the worst coffee that I ever had. I thought dying is better than... I have been a loyal passenger on Jetstar all this time, but I thought this is the last time I'm going to travel in this aircraft. It was so horrible. But the important message is, since the Malaysian airline incidents, most of our Sri Lankans, I don't know, I have not talked with others, because Sri Lankans are planning to go to Sri Lanka during their vacation in this coming December month. They have booked flights on Malaysian Airlines. Most of these people here in mainland and even in Tasmania, they say, Bhante, it's a tragic situation that we have changed our reservations. We cannot go on Malaysian Airlines. But I was a bit disappointed with this answer, because we all are Buddhists. Nobody came up with this type of attitude. They never said, Bhante, we are ready for death. It doesn't depend on the Malaysian Airlines. It doesn't depend on an airline. We travel in cars every day. We have hundreds of missiles coming on our way, yes? It's just, if we hit on another car, it's worse than a missile. So does it matter whether we fly or we drive? If you think like that, so it's a disappointment from all the Buddhists who say that, okay, we will, to escape death, we just change our airline. So that should not be the attitude of a Buddhist. When you are living, while you are living, when you are healthy, you live a righteous life. Then it doesn't matter whether it's a Malaysian Airlines or whether it's a Singapore Airlines, a death cannot be something that is, you cannot avoid by changing a flight. It will always follow you. So when you are answering, just think deep into it and see how prepared you are. Having said that, taking a Jetstar airline, I was put into the same situation. So I was reflecting on my thoughts. I was thinking whether I am ready for this. Because I give talks about death, how to be prepared for death. Then when I am put into situations, I have to look into myself and see whether I am ready for this. So honestly, I asked the other monk to be sure of. He said, okay, I have given a letter to the bank saying that if I die... No, his concern was his mother. His concern was his mother. He said he has given a letter to the bank saying that if I die, give all the money to his mother because somebody should be taking care of her. Other than that, he is not afraid to die. I say, okay, Bhante, that's very good. Then I also have a mother, but she's more financially stable than I am. Of course, months, we don't have that kind of a stability, or we don't talk about finances. But I just reflected whether I have any regrets. Honestly, I didn't. Then something went wrong. Then I was waiting for the flight to crash. Once you get ready for that the thought works like that. Our thinking pattern is like that now, because you are so ready for death. Then we were just saying, okay, it's no sign of crashing now. Maybe a little bit of turbulence. No, So once you are prepared for it wholeheartedly, you just don't, we are not foolish. We don't expect, once you are ready, you don't commit suicide. But you have to be prepared. That's the important lesson that I learned from all the incidents that happened during the past month. So I hope when you are going through all this news and when you are reflecting on these kinds of incidents, we cannot change the way life goes on, but we can change the way we live our lives. So when things happen, we are prepared for that, we are ready for that. I remember Ajahn Brahm giving a talk. He said, those people who say we are not afraid of dying, we are ready for that, they are just lying, Usually you get scared when the actual thing is happening to you. When you are crossing the road, when you see the car coming and it's very near to you, that moment defines what you are, what you have become, how well you have practiced. So in your day-to-day lives, I hope you will give some. Of course, every minute, every second we are dying, but you purposely give some time in your day-to-day life to die. Do you understand me? There was a nice monk. He was a very famous monk from Thailand. He was from Wat Suan Mok, Ajahn Buddhadasa Bhikkhu. In his teachings, he tells, die a little bit every day. So when your actual death is coming, you are prepared for it. We call it the Marananusati. I'm not going to talk about Marananusati because it's not my topic today. So we landed safely in Tasmania. The weather was horrible, but we went there for some talks, and we had different kinds of questions from the audience. There were children. They were asking. One girl was asking Bhante, why suicide is one of the major sins in Buddhism. Doctors ask, how does Buddhism help post-traumatic stress and depression and other cognitive functions? So I managed to answer them all. When it comes to post-traumatic stress, Buddha is somebody who applies his teachings for pre-traumatic stress. You don't get this in medical books. Before something happens, you prepare for it. Not that something happens. Of course, we can apply certain things in Buddhism when something happens. If you are going through depression, we have counseling methods. But that's not the idea as a Buddhist. Before going into post-traumatic stress, we have to relieve our pre-traumatic stress, knowing that we are bound to aging, knowing that we are subject to sickness, knowing that we will die someday. Through our practice, we relieve our pre-traumatic stress. So one time, I'm coming to my talk today. One time Buddha was meditating near the river Ganges. You know where Ganges is? Definitely not in Australia. We have a lot of rivers in Melbourne itself. We have the Yarra, we have the, I can't remember, I was going through the other day, I can't even remember. So Ganges was in Benares. We call it Varanasi, modern day India. So Buddha was staying there a couple of times. He was sitting there and meditating, and he was with his a group of disciples, and he saw a dead elephant floating, going in the river. So he took this chance, he took this time to reflect on Dhamma. He got the attention of all other his disciples to see the elephant floating, a dead elephant, so big. So he was telling his disciples, my dear friends, now a crow. This dead animal is a feast for a crow. Yeah, crows like to, eat on dead things. So it's so huge, a crow will land on this elephant and start eating its flesh. So this is a good thing, for a crow, enough food for all his life to have a dead elephant to itself, himself, herself. I don't know whether it's okay to call a crow it. Yeah, no? Yeah. Sometimes people, these animal lovers give me a hard time. They say, Bhante, why are you calling the dog it? It's part of our family. I say, I'm sorry. I get confused because in Sri Lanka we don't pay much attention to dogs and cats. So when it comes to a crow, I'm sorry. So the crow lands on the elephant and start eating the flesh. And so what happens is this crow forgets what he is doing. So it keeps on eating and eating and eating. That's a fortune for him, because there are a lot of things that he can do with this dead corpse of elephant. So the crow is so absorbed with the eating and all the food that he has, he keeps on floating with that elephant to the sea. And there will be a point that elephant has gone so far into the ocean that crow cannot return back to the land. Isn't it so? Okay, imagine if we are elephant, if we like to eat elephant meat and we land on that elephant and we keep eating because there's so much meat on it, and you just, float on it to the middle of the sea, there will be a point of no return. Do you understand the point here? Yes. So when the corpse is sinking and when there's no meat is left, the crow wants to go back to India, but there's no way. Okay? So Buddha says, we humans are like that. We keep on eating. I am implying not only to eating. I am implying here doing all other various things. We are so absorbed on all these things that when we wake up, we might be too late. Okay? So wake up and try to find out the point where you should decide to go out of this sensual pleasures that you are indulging on day-to-day basis. Buddha gives a teaching on the same spot. One day he was again next to the Ganges in Varanasi. Then he saw a log. You might have heard this before, isn't it? The simile of the log. Have you? No, okay, then it's a good thing that I chose that topic. So he saw this log floating and he took the attention of the monks and he asked, monks, can you see that log? Then he said, yes, it's a log. Yes. Then he asked another question, why do you think that log is going towards that way? Then the monk said, Bhante, Venerable Sir, it's going towards that way because the flow of the river is flowing towards the ocean. Then Buddha asked, why do you think the flow of the river is flowing towards the ocean? Then the monk said, because it tilts towards the ocean, it tends towards the ocean, and it's inclined towards the ocean. Can you remember these three words? Because I'm giving you the exact translation out of the Tipitaka. It tilts towards the ocean. Can you please come with synonyms for these words? Tilts. Bent, maybe, no? Tends. Slope towards the ocean. And the other one is it inclined. The purpose, if a river is flowing, it will be always towards the ocean. Highly unlikely it will go the other way around, So Buddha says, if a monk or a man or a woman who is seeking enlightenment, who is seeking liberation, who wants to get rid of the suffering in this world, he will also gain enlightenment. If his tilt tends towards the detachment and unbinding. If that person is tilted towards unbinding and detachment. If that person is inclined towards letting go, detachment, unbinding. But there will be 8 points you will get stuck. So I'm going to talk about these 8 points. We all get stuck on our way to enlightenment. So Buddha said, this huge log will get stuck at different places while on its way to the ocean. Where can a log get stuck on the river? Common sense, general knowledge? Yes. Okay, let's think about the banks, the shores. Yes. Either it will get stuck in this shore or the other shore. It will get stuck or either sink in the middle. Yes. It can be taken by a human being or a non-human being. Then a big wave come and it might completely come to the shore. Do you understand me? Yes. So it might get caught up with a whirlpool. On its way to the ocean, it might even rot. Okay, what are these 8 points now? This log will not go to the ocean. First one is it will get stuck in the near shore. Or it will get stuck in the far shore. It will either sink in the middle or get stuck in the middle. It will completely come out of its path and come into the land. Offshore. It will completely come into the land with a huge wave. The 5th one, a man might take it. 6th one, a non-human might take it. 7th one, a whirlpool. And the last one, it might destroy. Yes. So Buddha say, if a log can avoid these 8 situations, it will definitely flow to the ocean. Likewise, if a human being can avoid 8 things in your lives, you can freely float towards the ocean called Nibbana. Okay, now there was a monk listening to this and he asked, Bhante, we don't understand your similes. Please explain one by one. Then Buddha explained the first one. What is the getting stuck on the near shore? Sensual pleasures, yes, maybe. Okay, Buddha says the near shore means our internal sense organs. The eyes, the ears, the tongue, the nose, the body, the tactile. The mind doesn't come here. Mind in the Tipitaka, the mind is not included here because out of all these five organs, we process everything in the mind. So mind is taken separately. But you can take the mind also, no problem. We take things from our mind also. So Buddha say, how does people get caught up with all these things?
Because some people, in Buddhism, this body, these sense organs, there is no I in it. That's why we are always trying to dissolve and we try to understand these organs. If you take your eyes, if you take your nose, if you take your ears, the taste, not the taste, the tongue, your skin, where you feel bodily pleasures, and your mind as yourself, there's an I in it, there's a soul in it, you get stuck in this Dhamma. That's why we try to dissolve one by one and try to dissolve the wrong view called Sakkaya Ditthi. Can you understand the term Sakkaya Ditthi? Not everybody, no? So Sakkaya Ditthi means the wrong view that you have, thinking that there's somebody called I, there's a myself, and there is a soul within us that will travel into the future after death. Simply. So if you're stuck in this view, if you consider your, even in a outward way, if you even a person, if you take your eyes, some might ask, what is getting stuck on your eye, if you apply too much mascara, and if you apply too much eyeliners, and some even ask, Bhante, how do you know all these things? I said, okay, in the past, lot of women cried in front of me, so I was wondering what is coming out of their eyes so much, so black, please don't get me wrong, okay, I'm not saying not to apply anything, you can apply anything you want, but when you are applying, you should understand what we are doing. So the sad thing is, they cry in front of me, then when they are going back, and I'm also going back, I see them putting their makeup back in the car, they come for some, sad reason, and they explain, Bhante, oh, this happened, that happened, I cannot bear this, and they cry, all their makeup goes away. Then I give them a good teaching, you should not do this, that, and then they go, I see them in the car putting their makeup back. So, that's the sad thing, okay? So, I'm not saying. Even there was a question from another monk, this comes in the Milinda Panya, okay? One king asked the monk, you say this body is foul smelling, and there's no actual use of this body, and you look of the body in a different way, then why do you pay attention to your body so much? Why do you take care of your body? Then Venerable Nagarsen explains, we monks take care of our bodies. You should be taking care of your bodies the same way. We monks take care of our body, thinking that this is a wound that we should be paying attention to, otherwise it will get infected. We have how many openings in our body? I don't want to go through them, but just the whole number. 9 openings, yes? Yeah, okay. Count and see whether one is missing, okay? Then, Then, because this is a wound with 9 openings, we monks take care of it properly. So there's nothing wrong in applying all these moisturizing creams or lipstick, or I don't find any fault. But when you're doing that, just see what our attachments are. That's the point where we get stuck, honestly. So the point that we get stuck, if we are not too much attached, or it's not right to say too much if there is little attachment, that is attachment. So I just cannot force everybody to say, okay, have little attachment. It's good if somebody doesn't have any attachment to all these external things. Okay, what is the far show now? We have talked about the internal organs. Where does these internal organs meet with? External objects. So that's the second point. A person leading the path will get stuck. Where does the eye meet? Eye meets with visual objects. If we crave everything that we see, that's what somebody said sensual pleasures, no? This is the way sensual pleasures comes little later on the places we get stuck, but this is what we do with our eyes, we crave, what we see, we don't perceive them properly. We process them in a wrong way. So how does the 6 internal organs correspond with 6 external objects? How does it happen? Eyes with visual objects, ears with hearing, noise, nose with smell, tongue with taste, and your skin, your body with tactiles, yes? And your mind, there's no, all these things, it will process inside your mind, and mind can take its own objects also. Some people go into meditation the whole time, they have been building a house, they have been cooking dinner. Okay, honestly, people come and they sit down and, in the morning they come for meditation, but they have finished cooking for dinner also. So, these things are the points where you get stuck. Please get the message here. If you are following the Eightfold Noble Path, these are 8 very good points that try to identify where we get stuck. So you should not be getting stuck in your internal organs in any way. Let it be, pampering your internal organs, or let it be the objects that you take from your internal organs. Okay, then the third one is getting stuck in the middle. How does we get stuck in the middle? We have so much craving to what? Yeah, I would like to take this point from the very deep sense, what Buddha actually is meaning here, because we see from our internal organs the external objects, then comes the consciousness, then comes the feelings, the passion, the pleasure, and you start craving to these objects. Do you understand? Yes? You see a chocolate, then you have the craving, you like the taste, you register it in your mind, then you have the craving. Why do you eat the chocolate the next day also? Because of the craving that you have. If you're 100% satisfied with something, you won't be going after it again and again. That's why if there's anything in this world fulfilling for the first time, there's no need to go back for it again. So we have so much craving. If you have craving for the things that you make from your sense organs and objects, and you make them into cravings, then where are we stuck? In our consciousness, we are stuck with all these external things. Attachment, craving, greed. Do you understand now the 3 points? All related to your self, nothing external. Yeah, just all internal process. One time Buddha explains, there's no attachment in the outside world. Do you understand? Yes, everything is in your mind. The biggest attachment you create from your mind. So this is the third place where we get stuck. One time there was this monk in Sri Lanka, senior monk, enlightened monk, but his disciple was very young. At his, in the commentary it says he was around 14, 15, 16. They wanted to go and pay homage to one of the big pagodas in Sri Lanka called Ruwanvelisaya. The Sri Lankans know it, but it's one of the important places in Sri Lanka, important places in whole of Buddhism, Theravada Buddhism. So when they went there were no enough flowers. But this young monk was so powerful in his mundane jhanas, he can travel from air. So he said, Bhante, I will get some flowers. He quickly, like this, he went to Himalayas. He brought so much of flowers to be offered. Then the master was so surprised. And from master's ability to look into the future, he was going through his disciples' future. And he saw that he is going to get involved with a woman. Because he is so young. And all his powers are not supramundane. They are not attainments. but they can be achieved through meditation alone. Mundane jhanas, mundane abilities, mundane supernatural powers, which any of you can acquire if you meditate properly. So he gave a small warning to his disciple. There might be a chance that you will be eating gruel. You will be eating porridge out of a blind woman. Then that young disciple was thinking, how can I be eating? I'm so powerful. How can I be eating gruel from a blind woman? So the time went on. This monk was always going from the sky. He hears a music, flute. Somebody playing the flute. Unfortunately, that was a girl playing the flute. So he lost his jhana. He came down. So he was so absorbed with this music. He disrobed and he got married to this woman. Now he didn't have any intention of getting married to the woman, but what made him to take such an action? The music. Yes. So the woman was playing music. Actually, he was in love with music, not the woman. So he got married to the woman, thinking that he will be able to listen to music all his life. So that's not life, isn't it? Think about your marriages. You got married too. Think about your marriages. Okay. So what happened was, it didn't happen the way it was supposed to be. Woman lost interest in music when she got married to this man. So she didn't play music anymore. They had a very hard life. So this monk, obviously living as a monk, he was a lazy person. Well, he's not used to doing all other things. Of course, he might have to have such good meditation. He might have been meditated, once in a while. So the wife was always complaining. So when he was coming without anything, the wife was shouting at him, you didn't bring any food, you don't have any money. He was so angry, he hit with some stick. It went and hit her eyes. So she was blind on the spot, and the man was crying. Also, then the villagers thought, why is this man crying when his wife is hurt? Then he said, I don't care about she getting hurt. Okay, I really don't care. She's blind now, but I remember my master. My master said that I will be eating gruel from a blind woman. So this happened now. So if I should have listened to my master, this should have not happened. This is how we get attached to small things and suffer in the long term. Buddha explains this Kama Chanda as taking a loan from the bank. How does we take the loan? We get attached to something, and when we are departed from it, we suffer. So we are paying it back. But Buddha also says that getting attached to a thing is similar to taking a bank loan, but we also pay the tax also. How does we pay the tax? Interest. How does the interest apply on this situation? Because the object is very small compared to the suffering that you carry on. Yes? Okay? You understand? The tax is more in this situation. Please understand. To the things that you have attachment can be very little. But for this very little thing, you suffer all your life. It's a lifelong investment. No, I'm sorry, not investment. It's it's a lifelong. It's a lifetime mortgage that you can take. Okay, so please understand these situations. These are practical dhammas that you can apply when you are attaching to things. When you attach to chocolate, perfume, your taste buds, your sensual pleasures, you have to pay one way or another unless your mind is ready for that. unless you are willing to let go. That's why Buddha said, if you are tends towards unattachment and unbinding, tilted towards unattachment and binding, inclined towards unattachment and binding. So if you have these three qualities as the basis, you can have a little bit of chocolate. Okay? Then somebody is crying. Is everything okay? Okay. Then now wherever I'm stuck, wherever we, yeah, okay, in the middle, we were in the middle. So unfortunately, there might be a wave or two in your lives that the whole log might float into the land. So when the log is in the land, it's far away from the path. Yes? So this is a dangerous situation. For a human being, coming into the land is equivalent to having a super ego, your ego. Buddha gives the simile, the synonym, ego and conceit. Okay, why do we have our egos? Maybe we are doctors, maybe we are engineers, maybe we are wealthy. Even if we don't have all these titles and labels within us, why a human being is full of ego? We never think that we will die. We never think that we will age. We never think that we will decay. So those things are not even in our dictionary. So we have a very subtle ego in us that nothing will happen to us. This is the ego that he's talking about, with all other egos that comes with your status. Do you understand me? So if you have a super ego, if you have even a very little ego with lot of ignorance, not understanding that you will die someday, that you are subject to aging, that you will decay and you will have illness, you are very far away from the path. Because for the person who understands these three things will only try to do something about this. Because all of you might be scared of, aging and dying, and you need to do something about it. You need to do something before your death. You come here and listen to Dhamma. But if you think, oh, what's the use, Some people don't come because of their egos. One man came to see me in Sri Lanka. He was one of my teacher's husbands. And he works for the United Nations. And he works with, please excuse me, he works for a lot of non-governmental organizations. And he comes from a very good Buddhist background. He talked with me and said, Bhante, I know you for a long time. You were like my child. And I'm happy to see you as a monk. And you are a very good inspiration for everybody. And at the end of his talk, he said, Bhante, as a man, I will never bow down to a monk. So I will not bow down to you. I say, okay, if you don't want to bow down, it's up to you. You don't have to bow down. So people have these kind of complexes in their minds, It's a very simple thing to bow down. Imagine the ego that he is having. When I'm not saying that this should happen to him, please don't take me wrong. When you grow old, he will automatically bend, no? So he will automatically bend. So who's going to help him then? So think about your egos. This is the fifth point. We get stuck, isn't it? So fifth point, yeah? Okay, sixth point. Taken by a human being. How does a man be taken by another man? No, I'm not talking anything, man, man relationship, not something like that. I'm asking how we caught up. Yes.
You're being influenced by the group that you're with.
Yes, something like that. If somebody is, peer pressure. Peers. If somebody is inclined, tilted, tends towards liberation, he cannot be doing the same mundane things that any other householder is doing. Imagine you all on a Sunday morning, you should have slept this time, no? It's only the weekend you have. But since you want to learn something, since you want to see something new in your life, if not new, something, to do something that will change your way of thinking, and you need Dhamma, you came here. But if somebody thought, I need to take my children to swimming, I have to also swim, and I can go fishing on this day, these things are not appropriate for the person who is thorough in his Dhamma, because you cannot be influenced the same way, you cannot indulge on the same things as anybody else. So man or woman who is interested in treading the path, he should change his way of life. I am not asking anybody to give up all the things that you have at home and come here. No, you balance things, you have to have some time for your spiritual life. Do you understand me? This is where, somebody might call you in the morning, let's have a drink. Then you are taken by another man. Yeah. Another, woman will call and we will have a coffee morning. You go and you are taken by a woman. Yes. So don't let other people pressurize you if it is quality time that you are having here or anywhere else. This is how a person is taken by a man. How does a person can be taken by a person other than a human being? In the Tripitaka it says by a deva, by a demon, or by even an animal.
Someone has done criminal things and have an evil spirit, so they get taken by demons?
In the teaching, the original teaching is they depend too much on supernatural, gods, rituals and things like that. But in our day-to-day life, especially Sri Lankans, they have so many gods, God for wealth, God for education, God for each and everything. Christians and Muslims, they have one God. I have nothing against them. But Sri Lankans, I'm sorry if I'm addressing Sri Lankans too much. I have to clear them out in this matter. They have God for everything. So I remember there was a story. One man changed everything, because there is a ceremony in Sri Lanka where a small child is, introduced into education. He is giving a small, you write a letter or two at an auspicious time. We call it the Akuru Kiyono. So this man thought these gods are never going to help my child. So he has bought 2 photos of the district parliamentarian and the school principal. He thought, these 2 people will at least help me, so I keep some offering to them and I introduce education to my child. He's more practical than anybody else. If you are a Buddhist, you cannot depend on anything that we cannot see. We should see all our internal process of mind and materiality, the nama rupa. So if you are too much attached with gods and other things, rituals and non-human things, you are again stuck with those things. Do you understand my point? Do you have any gods supporting you at the moment?
Isn't that Hindu influence?
Yeah. That's why Buddha is addressing a Hindu society here. Yeah, Hindu influence is there.
Also apply to faithless. You had this philosophy, it's all fixed. Whatever I do won't change anything. So is it? You cannot find happiness in an external source. God is going to give you nothing. Even on Facebook, I saw a Buddhist, one of my good, not my disciples, one of my good devotees. After the Malaysian Airlines incidents, he has written, "The Lord in heaven, please pray for these souls." I said, what? If God was there in the first place, these things should not have happened, isn't it? So then I asked that the gentleman, why did you write such a thing? You were like listening to Dhamma 24 hours, 7 days a week. Then he said, Bhante, the most of them, they are Christians. So so that was the joke of the day. I said, Mr. So-and-so, but let them be Christians. But from your understanding, you should understand everything happens for a reason. Everything is conditioned in that way. These things are bound to happen. As Buddhists, there is a way that we see and look at things. We pray for their liberation. We pray for their families to understand these things and do something for themselves. Then he said, okay, Bhante, I understand now. I'm very sorry. So,
some people do sort of hedge their bets.
I for me, honestly, I don't mind praying even to your pet, But they should have a good understanding of what you are doing, Even Sri Lankans go around a tree still. We call it the Bodhi tree. Okay, Buddha never asked a person to go around a pot in your hand and throw water at it. Buddha says, sit down under the tree. Okay, these things come with your culture and So I don't want that to happen, okay? When I'm talking a man praying to God in heaven to give salvation to all dead souls, millions of people in Sri Lanka go around a tree still. Yes. So understand that. I don't mind going around 3-4 times and it will give you good exertion, and when you sit down you will have good samadhi. But these people just go around and go home and wait things to happen. Am I right or not? So you don't have the courage to think, you're not sure of yourself. I'm sure of myself. Okay, where were we now? Taken by a non-human. We went so far, So the seventh one, yes. Seventh one is you get into a whirlpool. What is the whirlpool that we are in? Yeah, whirlpool I understand, but human beings, what is the whirlpool that we get into in our lives? Our sensual pleasures. This is the point where we get stuck in our sensual pleasures. When we say sensual pleasures, there are 5 strings to it. Where do we seek pleasure from? Go back to number 1. Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes. We seek pleasure from our internal organs, external objects, then we have our consciousness towards it, then all we do is pleasurize ourselves. For what? You need some comfort in life, of course. You need some comfort in life. Otherwise, nobody's asking you to, suffer because to get rid of suffering. Even this time when I was in Myanmar, this is one reason I came back to Australia. I don't study in Myanmar. I study myself, but I don't attend an institution and study Buddhism in Myanmar. The weather was so horrible. I was going from village to village and I was walking somewhere between, 38 and 40 degrees of centigrade, and it was very hot, and I couldn't bear it. And one devotee said, Bhante, we will give you a air conditioner to my kuti. Okay, they gave, it's not that expensive in Myanmar, for around $300-400 they can easily fix it. So they fixed it. From that day onwards there was no electricity. So my karma was so bad that I still had to suffer. You cannot fix karma, you cannot plaster karma with air conditioners and, the only thing you might have is this, So that's why I carry this,
So most of the time in Myanmar I was half naked because I couldn't bear the heat. Then I thought, why I suffer so much? To get rid of suffering, I should have easily done my practice in Sri Lanka or even in Australia. So I decided, I said goodbye to Myanmar and I went to Sri Lanka. I took a rest for 25 days. In Sri Lanka also, I usually don't spend more than 30 days because of certain things. Then I came back to Australia. Do you understand your sensual pleasures completely? Yes? When you are doing something, you have to understand properly. So I will give you a formula. Yes? We call this the rain formula. Does anybody knows the rain formula? No point. Even if I give you, you won't be applying these things. I know, But just remember, at least when it's raining, you can remember. So, okay. So rain formula is R stands for recognize it. Yes. Recognize your sensual pleasures. A stands for accepting it. Okay. I stands for investigation. Okay. Okay. Where am I and I'm not sure of my spellings. Okay. N. Okay. N means non-abiding, non-attachment. Okay. Whatever happens to you, this is not mine, myself, or myself. We are pleasurizing just our just 5 sensual organs and our body. So you penetrate into what? The 5 aggregates of clinging. Basically the Nama Rupa. Your mind and materiality are being pampered by all the sensual pleasures. Can you remember the rain formula now? Yes. Okay, will you apply? You try, no? Yes. So when you are eating something tasty, how do you apply it? You recognize this is food. Yes. What is the purpose of the food? Nourishment. If you are expecting something beyond that, then you are going out of your limits. Okay. Now you accept your food wholeheartedly. You are not going to think about your cholesterol levels. No, you should be thinking, okay? That's also part of recognizing it, okay? Whether this is good for you or bad for you, then you accept it. If it is good, you accept it. You carefully investigate what's in this. Good things, bad things, outcomes. Will I get bloated? Will I have a bad stomach? Is this gluten free? I am lactose intolerant, and whether this is processed food, this is halal food. Consider everything. Okay? Investigation. Careful investigation. When you put everything into your mouth, this is only for sustainment. Okay, then you don't indulge and chewing, there will be fireworks in your head. No. Are you satisfied with the rain formula? Yes, please apply, okay? And then you will have automatically develop ahare particular sanya. The mindfulness on things that you eat mindfully. What is the last one? Yeah, rotting from inside. How does a person rot from inside? Lack of morality, lack of discipline, lack of principles. If you don't keep up to your precepts, then you are not a fresh person. This point especially goes to monks, especially goes to the disciples of Buddha. You have to keep up with Vinaya. You have to keep up with your precepts. This is the one important place you will be stuck again. So please remember to observe your precepts. In a way, if you observe your precepts, all other things have been automatically
covered, if you are keeping good precepts, you are in a safe position in samsara. That's why Buddha says, if you keep up to 5 precepts, you are not guaranteed, but there is a good chance that you will not go to hell. So, or you should, without the precepts, you cannot treat the path, so you will not flow into the ocean of samsara, the nirvana. Can we go through? Okay, now I will devote the rest of the time for your questions and for revision. Can we go through them again one by one? I'm not going to talk. You should talk. First one is getting stuck. Near show. Sense organs. The far show is objects. Getting stuck in the middle. Attachment to the things that create in your mind. And the fourth one is ego and conceit. Fifth one is sixth one, gods, and you do nothing, you don't do anything human, you do all other inhuman stuff. Okay. And what's the seventh one? The whirlpool. Sensual pleasures. Don't indulge in sensual pleasures. The final one? Lack of morality. Not keeping with your precepts. Okay. Now, I give this time for you to talk. Any questions? These teachings are found in Anguttara Nikaya, Attaka Nipata Pali. The name of the sutta is Dharukkhandopama Sutta. In English, it's called the sutta preached on the simile of a log. Okay? Unless you Google it properly, the Dharukkhandopama, you will not find this. Okay? So it's better you type simile of the log. Then you might find something. Okay, at least a picture of a log. So, okay. Any questions? Yes, please. Yes. Yes, very good. Very good, especially in Theravada countries, especially in countries like Myanmar, Thailand, and Sri Lanka. There is a particular monk who is very famous at the moment in Sri Lanka. If you know, all the Sri Lankans might know him, Venerable Aryanyana. He's considered a fully enlightened being, and he gives a lot of teachings here and there. Going here and there in Sri Lanka. One thing that he emphasized strongly is not to have attachment to anything, not to go after anything. The moment his Dhamma talk is finished, all the people gets attached with this person. Okay, then all these lay people follow him wherever he goes. Only one teaching is enough. If you want to get detached, you don't have to listen to Buddha. Never preached the whole canon to one person. In the whole Tripitaka, especially in the Majjhima Nikaya, if you take the suttas, we have 152 suttas, sermons. I see them as 152 prescriptions to different people for different illnesses. Now, if a person thinks if he wants to get enlightened, it's something like going to the pharmacy and taking all the pills to get cured. Yeah? You don't have to go through the whole canon to come into an understanding about life. These are different teachings given to different personalities in this world. You might fit into it, you might not fit into it. The best thing is, since there are no enlightened beings, I'm not saying in Australia. Australia you might have more than in Sri Lanka, of course. Then, get to know yourself. If I am to address your question, yes, it's not like a monk getting attached to lay people. There are instances, a lot of lay people also get attached to monks, and they just, keep feeding these monks and, doing all unnecessary things. They never take proper use of our monks. It's not about supporting, it's not about buying them an iPad or an iPhone or anything like that. It's about using a monk for your own liberation, because they have the teaching. Buddha says, I am like the doctor, and my Dhamma is like the medicine. The medicine is applied through by my disciples, which are equivalent to nurses. Okay? Did I give you a good answer? Yes? Yeah, if you are not satisfied, let me... Okay. Any other question?
Come on the same topic. If
Yeah.
people get attached to a monk,
Yes.
and monk promotes that,
Yeah.
it's almost like a cult.
Yeah, the monk should always promote detachment. Yes, but when a person comes to a monk and talks with him, it's a duty of the monk also to look at this person and see what are his he's whether over enthusiastic for my personality, or whether he's going on the proper path. If you see a weakness, it's the monk's duty to knock him in, what you are doing is wrong. Of course they will not I don't think, yeah. So if you are too much attached to anything, it doesn't have to be a monk. Yes.
And Buddha said himself that it's not me, it's my Dhamma. If you see,
Yeah.
you see me.
Yes. So go through Dhamma, practice Dhamma. I am just bringing you the very subtle points in Dhamma for your attention. But if you go through the canon also, you might find this. If you go through the Sri Lankan canon, people find it very difficult to understand. That's why always a monk should teach them. But things have changed. These things have translated into different languages. You can get the general idea. But when it comes to the process of internal organs, the higher Dhamma, the Abhidhamma, you should clarify it with a monk who is very conversant with Abhidhamma. How does the eye work? How does the ear work? So one time, the wealthiest woman in Buddha Sasana was Visakha at that time. She was a very beautiful. She was endowed with the Pancha Kalyana. At that time, a woman is beautiful with 5 things: with hair, with teeth, with skin, with her walk, and no, age. Yeah, even if you are old, if you look young, she's a top model. Yes. But she got enlightened at the age of 7. She comes to the temple with all her ornaments, jewelry.
Even stream enter, she became a stream enter.
Yeah, she became a stream enter at the enlightenment. When I say enlightenment, I don't say nirvana. Sotapanna is also... Now, enlightenment and nibbana is not synonymous. Enlightenment can be anything. Sotapanna, Sakudagami, Anagami, Nibbana. So, she was a stream entry at the age of 7. She has given up the body. The image, this is mine, this and that. But she still comes with all her jewelry. She was very beautiful. No? She had a good understanding about not her beauty. She had a good understanding about her faculties. This is my eye. This is what I take from my eyes. This is my mouth. This is what I take from my mouth. This is my ears. This is what I receive from my ears. She had a good understanding. That's why she was an enlightened being. So she never gave up all her jewelry or beauty. So one time she came into the a sermon like this. She came into the temple and asked a group of ladies who were attending here, why are you here? The elderly told, we are here because we want to go to heaven after our death. The same question that will come from any Sri Lankan old lady. I'm not saying you all, but if you go to a Sila Vyapara in Sri Lanka, please don't take me wrong. They would say, Ane Hamdurani, Bhante, we are old enough now. We are thinking about our next life. That's why we are here. Okay? Then the second group, she asked why you are here. The second group said, our husbands are not honest with us. We cannot go through them, so we come to the temple and sit down. It's better we have quality time rather than fighting with them. Okay? I usually don't ask these kind of questions from my devotees in Sri Lanka openly, but if you ask them, they might have a similar reason, life is hectic, Bhante, so I come. Then, the third, the youngsters, they come, they are married people, they ask, Visakha asks, why are you here? We want a son as our first child. So we come and pray here for a good childbirth. This is India, ancient India. So a son is considered a good thing. So still even at Dhammasarana, a lot of people come before their pregnancy, they come and say for a good, it's okay to come, but we cannot decide whether it's a man or a woman. We cannot, decide whether it's a twin or a triplet or, so we cannot do these kinds of things. Then the last group, the very young girls, they said, we want to have a good marriage. So that's why we are here in the temple. That's okay. Teenagers come and fantasy, they fantasize about their men and, they pray, oh, yes, please, a good boy. Like that. I am sorry, I'm saying whatever the thing that is in the book. Otherwise, these ladies might think he's bit, he's not equivalent. Yes, there's no equality in my talk. Yeah, bon. I will something related to boys next time, okay? I will find something related to boys next time. So then she was very disappointed. She went to Buddha and said, Bhante, all these people are not here for the right purpose. Then she asked, what is the right purpose? Then Buddha says, if somebody understands the true nature of life, that we are subject to decay, subject to illness, subject to death, because of that sole reason, one should come to the temple to get rid of suffering. You understand? All other problems are there in our life. You don't have to come to the temple to solve them. Of course, we can be of help, but Dhamma cannot recycle your problems into no problems. Problems will be always there. But you come and understand the true nature, how life flows, then you have the mental freedom to digest them, isn't it? Okay, can I conclude my talk today?